Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope you're all doing well. This is Dr. Yabo from Atlanta. I hope you are having a good week. Today is Wednesday. I hope your week has been peaceful and happy and fruitful in many ways. My name is Dr. Yabo. If you haven't met me before, I'm a speaker, an author, a lifestyle blogger. I'm a board certified pediatrician and a physician entrepreneur, which means I own and manage my practice. And I also am on the board of Flow Health, on the medical board of Flow Health. And I'm coming on today to discuss life goals and fulfillment and achievement of our life purpose, all of those things that we're all trying to get a handle on, especially in this new world with COVID and the pandemic that we find ourselves in. So before I start, I like telling stories. I'm going to tell you a story about how one step that I've taken in my life has led to a series and a cycle of so many wins for me. And it's just that I was bold enough to step out, take those steps, have faith, trust in my own skills, and trust in God guiding me. And those steps have led to so many wins for me, and they've led to financial freedom for me. So the very first one I'll say, and I want to give you the story just so you know how just one step in our lives can lead to a spiral of events that leads to wins. So I was brought up in a family of entrepreneurs. Both my parents, my mom and dad, were entrepreneurs. My dad he completed high school, which they call grammar school. He didn't go to college. My mom was a beautiful, sophisticated, very, very confident woman, but unfortunately, she didn't have the privilege of going to school, so she couldn't speak English or write English, but both of them together were a force. They were partners, they worked together, their personal lives were good. I'm not saying they didn't have any challenges, they didn't have a perfect life or perfect marriage, but they supported each other well. And my mom especially, because she was a woman in those days, and she passed away last year, February, and she was 86, but you can imagine, she was born in 1932, so you can imagine in her time that it probably wasn't the norm for women to be ambitious, but she did what she needed to do. She had many shops where she sold things. She was very successful. She built homes from her own profits and from her financial freedom. And she and my dad also owned homes together. They invested in so much real estate. And you guys today in this world know that real estate is still a good thing to invest in. So that's what they did with their lives. So of course, growing up as a kid, I saw that and I just loved it because their schedule was their own. They were home a lot. They had their social lives. They just seemed happy and financially free. Even with all the proceeds from that, they also bought a house in London, England, and we went on vacation to London every single year from the time I was 5 until I finally left to chase my own dreams and be my own person at 23. We went to London on summer holidays every year. So they invested in real estate, not just in my country, but also in England. So I saw that and I really wanted that. So of course, my path and my skills led me to be a doctor, but I knew all along that I wanted to be some kind of business owner. I didn't know how it was going to materialize, but I knew I had that vision. And that's one of the reasons why I left England, because England was my first port of call. You guys know, if you're the doctor who's been down the path of going to England first and then coming to the US, you know how the system is in England. It's not a lot of the doctors, they just do locums. They don't have any regular job. You're not in a fixed residency program and then you move on to be a consultant to attending. So I got frustrated with, the culture there. So of course I moved to the US, and that has been a dream come true for me. So of course in the US I was then, I still had that entrepreneurial bug in me. I still wanted to have my own practice because I wanted to be like my parents. I knew I wanted a business. So I really wanted to open a practice. But then I got a job first because I wasn't bold enough to move to Atlanta right after residency and open my practice. So I joined a practice with a plan to stay there for 2 years and then open my own. But after 9 months, I was done. I was too restless. I couldn't wait to start, chasing my own dreams and my goals of having a practice. I was seeing so many patients, 40, 45, 50 patients a day. I would get home every evening and have to soak my feet. It was tough. And I was being paid like, I don't know, it may have been somewhere between 95 to 105K. And I was seeing like 40, 45 patients every day, also doing hospital rounds in 3 corners of Atlanta, in 3 different counties that were not even close to each other. I mean, I was tired, and then I worked every other weekend. I was on call every other weekend, and even the weekends that I was free, I would be called to come and cover because somebody was sick. I was just like, well, if I'm putting all this energy into somebody else's business, why can't I do it for myself? So I resigned after 9 months. Trust me, it was a leap of faith. I didn't have another job I was going to. I hadn't opened my own practice. I just resigned because I wasn't happy. I was burnt out. I was tired. I did have a little bit of savings. I didn't have that much, but luckily for me at the time, I was still married to my ex, so he was still working. So with a little bit of my savings and I think using my credit card, I was able to survive financially. And it took me 15 months from the time I resigned to be able to start my own practice. And of course, I can't give you all the details on here. If you come to my conference or you hire me as your coach, then I can tell you. But anyway, I did open my practice. I didn't get an MBA. A lot of you women are waiting until the day you can get an MBA before you open your practice. That is just a falsehood and a myth that is out there, that I hope that a woman or even a man listening to this today can drop that myth. You do not have to have an MBA to be an entrepreneur. All you need to do is have the zeal, the passion, and the desire to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to have an MBA. There's many people who get MBAs and they're still stuck and they still cannot step out. So an MBA is not going to give you the confidence to step out and do the business. You still have to take action. So what I did was I just bought the book called How to Open a Medical Practice. I started reading it back to back in my free time because I had resigned. I wasn't working. And then, as luck was, as nature or fate would have it, I got pregnant with my second daughter after I resigned. And so with my big belly, I was just reading books, looking for a space to open the practice in, and all that. The space was remade from, it was an insurance company space. We had to do the build out, all of that. So you see how being born into an entrepreneurial family led me to the confidence and the desire to also want to be an entrepreneur and to be financially free. So that's why I'm saying that we also have to know that whatever choices we're making in life is influencing other people. So the choices that my parents made, even though they're both in heaven now, they're no longer here, has led me to this financial freedom. Okay, so that's one part of my financially free life. And as I've said over and over in videos, if you follow me, you know that the practice is still open today. It's called Milestone Pediatrics. It's located in Decatur, Georgia, and we serve a very diverse population. So it's still open, it's thriving. I started it from scratch, from zero. I also had the leap of faith to take out financing. This is another topic for another day, but as we know, in the African American community, it is quite hard to get financing because of prejudices and all of that. But I didn't let that stop me. I did find a bank that was willing, a bank in Florida owned by this Indian guy. He loaned me the money, which was a huge chunk of money, but I was determined. I knew what I was going to build, and I took out the loan and I paid it off like year 4 going into year 5. So that's one of my big leaps of faith. So you see how one bold step can spiral you into something that years after you'll still be happy for. I'm so happy that I took that step, because now even with COVID-19, my business is an essential service. So even though our numbers did go down in March and April, they're going back up. Patients are coming back in and everything's good. And I mostly manage the practice. So I have time for my creative skills for doing this and other things. So please, folks, you do not need an MBA to start a business. The second story I want to give you is the story about how I got hired on the medical board of Flow Health. I was having a Zoom conference yesterday with Precious Price. She's one of the guest speakers at my conference, and she is a millennial. But that girl is that lady. I don't like saying girl, but you know what I mean. I say it respectfully. But Precious girl, you are going places, because I told you the story yesterday. I guess you didn't know how much you had influenced me. But I signed up to go to a women's conference, and I didn't look up the exact date. I should have, but I believe it was sometime in 2018. And Precious came up. She was one of the speakers, and I was just stunned. I was like, wow, this girl is going places. Precious was confident, she was bold, she knew her stuff. She was talking about how to leverage LinkedIn as a social network, and how to use it to grow your brand, build your brand. And at that point I had a LinkedIn page, but I hadn't even updated it in so long. But after she gave that talk, and I was so moved by her talk, I went back home and I started to refine and polish my LinkedIn page. I started to post, put up posts. I started to be more active on LinkedIn. And lo and behold, a few months after that, I got this DM from somebody from the hiring staff at Flow Health that they wanted me to join their medical board. So, and that's a position that is a wonderful position, because I get to work from home. I write articles for them, I edit their articles. But you see how one decision spiraled into so many. The first decision was that I stepped out to sign up to go to a women's empowerment conference. That was the first step. I stepped up to do that. Precious happened to be there. Precious was on fire. She was on her A game, as she always is. She inspired me to go to LinkedIn. I went to LinkedIn, polished up my my page, and then I got noticed. I attracted opportunities to myself. Even though I wasn't consciously seeking a job, I had a job. I wasn't consciously seeking a job, but I got that. So many things, even with when I wrote my book and published my book. The reason why I finally self-published instead of waiting for a traditional publisher was because my friend Ekene inspired me to self-publish. She was like, yeah, but traditional publishing is really hard. It sounds like you have a great book, just self-publish it. And I listened to her, I did that. And the way I even met Ekene was because I met her at a QC event, and then I started going to her empowerment events, and then we came into each other's lives, and then she came to visit me at home and told me to publish my book. So you see how one bold step leads to the next. Because I got up and I went to events and conferences, I met her, published my book. Then after I published my book, I got noticed by somebody who had who worked with somebody at the United Nations. He came to my book signing and was just there observing me, and he was like, wow, we need a voice like yours at the UN. You've written a book about peace, and we want you to come to the to the UN to talk about peace and justice and strong institutions. And I got 1, then 2, then 3 speaking opportunities at the UN. So the reason why I'm saying all this is that a lot of us are still timid, and we're still letting emotional blocks stop us from taking that one simple action that will lead to a spiraling of opportunities for you. So God will help you, but you have to take that first step in faith to go out and grab opportunities. So if you're still procrastinating about coming to the Women's Without Guilt conference, I hope this will challenge you to sign up today, because prices go up on Friday. You may think this whole thing is she's marketing her her conference, she just wants money. Yes, I do want to leverage my skills to make money, but that's not my goal with this. My goal is to inspire, and if you know me, you know that that's not my goal. My goal is to inspire and influence women to be their best selves. and we're going to be talking about fulfillment and a purpose-driven life and how that eventually leads to financial freedom. So I hope this helped. I hope you will take the bold step today to sign up for my conference, and you will take that first step to start to get things happening for you. So take care. God bless. Bye-bye.